Showcasing business coast to coast. It's the Jon Robert Quinn Show. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Sacramento. How are you doing? My name is Jon Robert Quinn, the guy who builds talk shows coast to coast. And tonight we have an absolutely amazing, incredible show. We've got probably two of the smartest people we've ever had come through our show tonight. This is absolutely going to be amazing. Tonight's show is brought to you by Pest Control Center, pestcontrolcenter.com, 916-344-4400. We are looking for new guests for our show. We also have annual sponsor packages, a full year of radio for $15.99. Give me a call, 916-289-3710, 916-289-3710. Segment 1 is brought to you by Katie Cantrill, independent personal stylist. You can see I'm wearing my J. Hilburn t-shirt today, custom built for me. My problem is my neck is too big, my arms are too small, they're too short, so nothing fits me right. Well, she handles all of that. She comes, gets the sizes, she orders, she does everything. It's all dialed in. Katie Cantrill, KatieCantrill.jhilburn.com, or give her a call, 916-704-6955, 916-704-6955. So, tonight's broadcast, we've got Hector Alvarez. What's the name of your company?
The Alvarez Associates, right after 9.
Okay, so
I was very original in picking the name.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
right? But you do violence prevention.
That's exactly what we do. Workplace violence prevention is the heart of what we do.
Okay, and then we've got Robert Smith, who does
mental performance work, mostly for PTSD and for athletes.
This is going to be an incredible show. This is going to be a show for veterans.
Yes.
We should just dedicate the whole episode to our veterans.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's do it. All right, so we'll put a little blue stripe at the bottom. All right, Hector Alvarez. Who is Hector Alvarez?
So I've got about 25 years in the field of violence prevention, everything from the military to law enforcement to corporate security to education. And who I am is a person who's dedicated their life to trying to prevent incidents of violence. That's who I am.
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Now, what kind of violence are we talking about?
We really focus on violence in the workplace,
Okay.
But once you start looking at it, you realize that it comes from all kinds of sources, whether it's somebody who comes to rob something, somebody who we provide services as a customer, our coworkers can be a problem, and then even domestic violence. We see domestic violence spill into the workplace a lot. A lot of people don't realize it, but that's one of the biggest areas of violence in workplaces.
Sexual harassment?
We see that too. You see a lot of inappropriate behavior. Right now the Me Too movement is just, raging across the country.
Well, explain this to me, because I'm seeing it, but I'm not sure what it is.
So what it is, it's a movement that really is generated and is acknowledgement that for a long time, mainly women felt uncomfortable or unable to bring their concerns forward. I feel uncomfortable even talking about it because I'm not a woman, I'm a man, and this tends to be a woman-centric issue. But what's changed is women are now able to share their concerns about what they experienced. And in the beginning, it was grotesque violations of sexual assault, not sexual harassment, and it continues to wave. And so when we translate that Me Too movement to the workplace, we still have a hard time getting people to come forward. I've evaluated about 3,000 incidents of violence. In every case, there was warning signs, and they're not bringing it forward. And it's the same thing. We need to get to the point where we get people comfortable bringing it forward.
Can I ask you a really controversial question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm seeing, I pay attention, news media people, people coming across, saying, sexual allegations, this, or being fired. Brian Williams, I think, was one. Even Tom Brokaw, I guess, is now getting some stuff.
There was a powerful one yesterday.
Which one was
in New York.
Which one was that?
It was like the Attorney General of New York.
Okay. So the question I have is, were things different in the 60s? You got the whole Bill Cosby situation, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now it's starting to come out, or has it always been a problem?
I think it's always been a problem, and the way we treated each other, it changed. And I think the ability to be inappropriate, and I say ability intentionally, existed years ago where it doesn't now. I think one of the concerns, though, that I hear in a lot of people is it being taken advantage of? Is there a pendulum swing? And I think with any movement, that's a potential. But right now we're seeing some real concerns. Like the whole sexual assault that occurred in Olympics, in tumbling. That was pervasive. That was huge for a number of years, and it was the environment that allowed it to continue. So to answer your question in a very long-winded way, yes, I think it's different, and the difference is that it was happening. We just didn't know about it.
Okay. So are things better now than they used to be? Now that they're, it's more out in the open.
It's getting there, but slowly. I mean, I just talked to one of my clients, a woman who works at a front desk of a hospital, and she's checking a patient in, and halfway through, he reaches out and starts stroking her hair.
The patient does.
The patient did.
Okay.
And it just threw her off, and she wasn't sure how to react. And eventually she came forward and said, okay, somebody touched me. I didn't want to be touched. We're heading down the path of getting better, but it's going to be a long path.
Now, was that actually considered a sexual crime, so to speak?
It was an assault. I wouldn't call it a sexual crime.
Okay.
It would be an assault. Somebody touching you and you don't want to be touched. It happened to be your hair, but it could have been another part of the body.
Correct.
So yeah, definitely an assault.
Very, very interesting.
It's a boundary breach, is what it is. It's a boundary breach.
It's very, very interesting. Where it's really coming to me is, was it intentional? Is that, or was it one of those things that everybody thought she had pretty hair? I mean, I used to work when I was in the mortgage business. We had this woman had the most incredible hair, and it was so funny because once we got to know each other a little bit, I was like, "Can I just touch your hair?" Because it was just the coolest. It was just incredible. And she's like, "Nope."
See,
and
that's a difference.
Cool.
And
people might think I'm kind of a creep for that, but I thought it was super cool.
No, and that's the difference. You asked permission, and when we start looking at this, and we're talking about workplace violence, but it's all connected. Mm-hmm. The reality is, if we don't set boundaries, then we don't know if they've been breached. And so she sat there.
Like that.
She sat there in
Absolutely.
shock.
I love that.
Not knowing what's going on, and didn't know how to react, and didn't find out about this until several weeks later when we're doing a training class. Mm-hmm. And of course, her coworkers were just floored that it had occurred, and she was floored that she allowed it to happen. And that's her words.
We
not
set
mine.
boundaries in ourselves. We set boundaries in our homes. We set boundaries with our friends. We set boundaries with our business. Yet people aren't setting boundaries with their clients.
Cultural boundaries too.
Yeah, cultural boundaries, social boundaries. We just, we've reached a point in society where we interact with each other online, social media, phones, but we talk to each other a lot less. And so a lot of that boundary setting has gotten watered down, and we're just not doing it at the same level that we used to.
Very, very interesting. What type of businesses experience the highest level of violence?
So we see two main ones. The big threats are those who deal with money, those who deal with drugs, and then those who deal with money and drugs late at night by themselves are probably the highest risk. Okay,
now explain to me. Are we talking pharmaceuticals, or are we talking about
across the board
drug dealers?
No, we're talking about pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
So think of your drugstore, that's within a local grocery store, or your late night convenience store. Now, those are the most prevalent, but then if you move forward, and you'll see this stuff happening across every type of business. So if you deal with customers, that's a problem. If you have employees, that's a potential issue. And the numbers continue to increase. Unfortunately, and we're on radio, so you can't see, but we are seeing, I'm pointing in the air, we are seeing an escalation of violence over the last couple of years.
Now, what kind of violence are we talking about?
Every possible type.
Okay.
So we are seeing everything from assaults in the workplace to the very dramatic kind of culmination of incidents that we saw like happen at YouTube.
Yes.
So workplace shootings, workplace assaults, domestic violence. It's a significant problem.
Schools are the same. I mean, every day it seems like there's a school on lockdown because some idiot kid wants to go and call in a bomb threat or something.
And it seems like it, but overall in our schools, the violence has actually been trending down significantly. What is new is this spike of mass shootings. That's a phenomenon of the last 20 years that just didn't exist before. But overall, your school is still the safest place to send your kid.
Okay. Now, another controversial question. Are the guns the problem, or are the parents the problem?
I think people having guns who shouldn't have them is the problem.
Okay.
And I think guns are neither the complete problem nor the complete solution. I'm not an advocate for putting a gun in someone's hand and going out there.
Personally, I don't like guns, but I'm not going to speak up. I don't want them in my house.
Yeah.
I don't like guns. I'd rather have a baseball bat.
It does seem like there are people. It does seem like there are people who take advantage of that very powerful tool to make points. But at the same time, there's millions of weapons sitting in people's homes doing absolutely nothing.
Correct. The knives in their drawer.
So there's a ton of people that we need to identify that should not have guns. And so I hate the fact that sometimes it sounds like I'm making a talking point, But there's people right now that we know legally should not have guns that have them.
They have guns,
and we need to get them away from them.
correct. So is it a mental issue? Is it where we're going to have Robert Smith come in and talk about all that? I mean, I'm not asking the question, but
it's part of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's got to be part of it.
In Parkland, we missed some very clear warning signs, and there's
Columbine was another one.
There are several states that have what are called red flag laws that allow us, if you know that somebody's displaying concerning behavior, to at least temporarily remove their firearms. We knew that this kid in Parkland was displaying concerning behavior, but we lacked the tools at the time to do that.
Did you see the movie I'm Not Ashamed?
I did not see that.
That was the Columbine movie.
I didn't see that one.
Went to theaters last year. I was a part of putting that together and in marketing that. And I actually went out to Columbine last year and walked the stairs.
Wow.
And it sucked everything out of me. It brought me to my knees. And the sad part about it is that school is on such high alert. 10 years, 12, 15, whatever, how many years? I think it was 1999, right? Yeah. So we're talking 20 years later, roughly, that law enforcement came out and carded me, ran all my everything, checked my vehicle. I mean, they went through everything to make sure I wasn't a terrorist. And I explained to them who I was and what I'm doing. They pulled my credentials and everything. They're like, oh, okay, he's part of the movie. Okay, good. But still, I mean, just, it's disgusting. Yeah. Absolutely disgusting. How do people get in contact with you, Hector?
So they can call me directly. So
916?
Yes, 916-293-8852.
916-293-8852. If you think that you are experiencing violence in your workplace or you want to prevent violence in your workplace, give them a call, 916-293-8852. WV as in Victor, P as in Paul, experts.com. Again, 916-293-8852. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back and learn more. We'll be right back.
Showcasing business coast to coast. It's the Jon Robert Quinn Show.
Welcome back to the most amazing, most incredible show, the Jon Robert Quinn Show. Segment 2 is brought to you by Pest Control Centers. I'm speaking faster than I can read this. Families and businesses in the Sacramento region depend on Pest Control Center to deliver industry-leading pest control and weed control solutions. They specialize in getting your pests and weeds gone guaranteed. Give them a call, 916-344-4400. Again, 916-344-4400, or visit pestcontrolcenter.com. So we're speaking with Hector Alvarez from Alvarez and Associates. You guys prevent workplace violence.
Yep.
This is a tough subject. If you guys were sitting here at the break, you can hear all the F-bombs being dropped because it really weighs on our hearts. We're tired of seeing this stuff happen. There's a reason why we bring them on the show. There's a reason why you come on the show. All we're trying to do is do our part in helping these people not have to deal with this nonsense.
Yeah, and there's more and more people trying to help. You know, there's a group, the Association for Threat Assessment Professionals, that I've been a member for years. And, you know, I used to go to the conferences and there was 200 people, and then there was 500 people, and now there's thousands of people. And so everybody's trying to understand this because we keep getting it wrong. You know, you look at the Parkland shooting and we missed so many warning signs, and it's unbelievably frustrating.
Well, what's funny is that leads into our next question. Are there certain types of people that are violent?
You know, there's not a profile. And so everybody wishes there was a checklist or a profile.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first thing you got is the Black Lives Matter, right? They're going to say that blacks are committing more crimes than other races. I think that's a bunch of baloney, personally.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't understand what they're talking about. That's one thing that we know.
I think people are just talking out their rear ends instead of actually.
Yeah, when we look at it, we look at the behavior, and there's some very clear patterns of behavior, and a couple of things to look for. You know, the one things that we know, a lot of these people commit these acts, they're justice seekers. Okay, they're looking to rectify a wrong in their mind, whatever it is. They believe, they perceive that they were wronged. They want to correct that. They also tend to really hoard injustices. You know, if you ever seen somebody's house, it's filled from bottom to top with crap, physical crap. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's these people. Everything is against them. Everything is their fault, but they're never to blame. And so you start feeling that. And then lastly, very often we see bizarre behavior, and it's bizarre behavior by how we know them, not bizarre in general. So A kid who was very quiet all of a sudden becomes happy and starts acting out. We took a gun off a local kid because he was walking around campus laughing and joking. And the kids who knew him knew that he never laughed and joked. He never talked to
He
anybody.
found some kind of happiness somewhere, and that was what was the red flag.
The red flag was he was about to take action that day. So we got him with the Glock 22 and 60 rounds of ammunition. That was the final piece.
Now, does this happen more often than the news media lets see happen?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
I've gotten calls and been placed on standby to go on TV, but they were waiting to see how many bodies would be involved before they put me on. I, one, refused to be on that show, but every day, in fact, on average, a woman is killed on the job every single day at the hand of her domestic violence abuser. So yes, it happens all the time.
Here locally?
Nationwide.
Or are you you're national?
Nationwide, correct.
Very, very interesting. This is disgusting.
The way we treat each other is beyond the ability to even comprehend. And I immerse myself in violence so that I can understand it and teach. And I get text and messages and calls from people. And it's really shocking to know what's going on in society.
Now, is it another controversial question? Is it ex-husbands, ex-boyfriends? Do you think these dating apps, Tinder and so forth, are creating the problem? Do you think video games are the problem? Where do you think it comes down to?
One, I don't think as a society we talk to each other as much. Okay. We interact, we don't talk.
We text. Yeah.
But we don't talk to each other, so people are able to operate on their own. I definitely think that we are desensitizing each other to violence. There's no doubt in my mind. In the military, that's what we use to get them ready to go do horrible things, is we inoculate them to the stress of violence. Well, we're doing that at home. It exists. It's not the only thing. There's a lot of kids who play a ton of video games who don't go off and commit mass murder.
Correct.
But it's an element. It's when you put somebody who's susceptible and then somebody who's vulnerable and then somebody who's angry, and you put these different things, this confluence of issues together, and that's when you see the problem.
Very, very, very interesting. What do you think about all of this, Robert?
Yeah, there is a recipe, for no doubt. And the desensitizing is a huge part of it because, if you take the human element out of it, then they're capable of anything, and there's no accountability. So you put a narcissist with a belief that's a false belief or definitely a limiting belief. And
I'm a narcissist. I say that I've got the greatest talk show in the world.
Meaning that the world is against them. They're not in cause. They're in
I get
effect,
exactly what you're saying.
So they got to be in causal, and you can control stuff. And if you're in effect, everything's happening to me and at me, and I need to fight back. Then there's a problem.
Now, what about these people? I know somebody in particular. My wife's going to go, why did you bring him up? I know somebody smart guy, just absolutely brilliant mind, but can't keep a job, smokes weed all day, and the whole world is against him. Is he a red flag, or is he just a bum?
No, there's a lot of people who don't, meet expectations, that don't go off and do something. When you start talking about targeted violence, that cognitive aggression, there's energy behind it, and they're trying to rectify it. Could he become that person? Could he get frustrated and then go back and then place the burden of what he has not succeeded on? Yeah. But sometimes people like the person you described are too lazy to follow through on the plans.
Society would have to let him down.
Yeah,
society would have to let him down.
And I think that's where he's just lazy. He's a smart guy. Yeah. I've told him a million times, like, dude, come and sell ad space for me. I'll put you. We'll bring you on the show. I'll pay you good. Yeah. But he doesn't even show up.
And then when you just kind of anecdotally looking at society, there is a problem that we have when we tell everybody that everybody is special and you can do whatever you want. One, life is not fair, and there have to be consequences for actions.
Correct.
Things happen that are uncomfortable, and we do have to learn to deal with it and move on. It's not going to be fair. But we do have a problem in that you have a lot of people who just have not been taught conflict resolution skills, and then when something does not go their way, they're not sure what to do with it. And that's a lot of what I deal with, is getting people to understand that, okay, yes, it happened. Yes, it was unfair. Now what? Now what are you going to do about it? How can you make that change?
Let's solve the problem.
We're not taught that in schools.
Yeah, let's sit down and let's figure out what's going to work out best for everybody.
Yeah, I think my kid's school had 14 valedictorians.
How is that possible?
I don't know. Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't make any sense.
And a lot of times for us, the first truly competitive time that we reach in our lives is when we go to apply for our first job and realize there's several people that want the same job.
Correct.
And we just hadn't been prepared for that.
Correct. How do you guys go about to prevent violence? Spend the last maybe 3 minutes talking about
it's about 3 things that we do. One, we come in and look at the physical environment and make sure that from a structure, from an infrastructure perspective, that you're protected. Look at your policy procedures and how you treat your employees, what you do. Then we conduct training. We come in and help you understand how to identify the sources of frustration. We know that unchecked frustration leads to aggression. We know that unchecked aggression leads to violence. And help you recognizing what it is that you bring to the table. Because think about it. We've all been around somebody that you know, just their presence gets people upset. Well, what if you're that person and you're generating? So understanding that. And then lastly, we do
I piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, but if that's who you are and they know what to expect, there's no surprises.
Yeah, it's more. I think they're more threatened by me actually because I'm just too brash.
Well, it's because you have such a timid personality. That's what it is. And the last thing is we do what's called behavioral threat assessment. We come in and we help evaluate the seriousness and credibility of somebody's behavior and then determine what to do with it. Pick a path of least resistance. And, we're doing it nonstop. Before the show, I'm in the parking lot, talking to a sergeant at a police department, trying to keep a man from doing something that he shouldn't do. And it's just nonstop. We're constantly doing it.
Is it more almost like a standoff resolution type situation?
In what way?
You got somebody that's they're thinking about doing something, or they're trying to prevent something from happening, and you're coming in from a psychological standpoint. Let's try to get him off the ledge.
Sort of. We're trying to intervene, just turn and deflect them. The problem is it's not a direct path from the time that somebody decides to do something. They oscillate back and forth. And so somebody could be really close to committing an act of violence, and then one thing changes and they don't do it. Well, they're not better, and I'm doing air quotes, they're not better.
Correct.
And they're still heading down that path. But that oscillation, and that's what gets confusing, is you could be really scared one day, and then they seem to be better, and then they're not. And that gets challenging.
Is that like bipolar?
It's not bipolar. It's
the neurology.
Yeah. We go through constant justifications to do and not do something. And at one point, they'll reach that justification, that taking that action makes sense in their mind. And so you have to justify to yourself waking up every day, and then justify to yourself coming in. At some point, maybe you can't justify doing that.
Brilliant. I love what you guys do, man. I love what you guys do. Are you going to hang out for the second half?
Sure, I can hang out.
I wish you would. I want to talk to you after the show.
Okay.
I want you to do more with us, and I want to do more with you. And I think that we really need to build a good, strong foundation with the two of us. The shows, either this show or my 9 other shows, and you guys. But I really think that what you have is special.
Yeah, if you can't tell,
needs to be
we're very passionate. I'm very passionate about getting information into people's hands so they can make a difference for themselves. They can do the things they need to do to get out of harm's way.
Can you send me something that we can put up on our website also in the sidebar or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks. So if you're a business owner and you just need to have somebody come through and analyze the situation, make sure that the business is safe for the other employees and prevent anything from happening. We don't want another Parkland school or YouTube shooting or anything like that, especially in our community. Give these guys a call, 916-293-8852, 916-293-8852, WV as in Victor, P as in Paul, experts.com. Again, WVPexperts.com, 916-293-8852. Hector, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back and chat with Robert Smith. We'll be right back.
Showcasing business coast to coast. It's the Jon Robert Quinn Show.
Welcome back to the most amazing, most incredible show, the Jon Robert Quinn Show. Segment 3 is brought to you by Linda Grover. 530-388-8393. Are you looking to buy or sell your next home? Give Linda Grover a call. 530-388-8393, lindagrover.org. And I do want to, again, thank Hector. It's so funny. He says he's going to be here, and then in the break, he looks down at his laptop, and they found one of the suspects they were looking for, the sheriff's department, and he says, "Oh, I got to get out of here," and jumps up, grabs his computer, and off he goes. And that's what it's all about, is preventing violence. And they had a suspect. It's somebody who was going to do something, and
I thought he was going to change into a phone booth or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just Superman. You see how fast he was out of here? Brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so
Duty
much.
calls, right?
Well, you know what? Our men in blue, Blue Lives Matter. Absolutely. All right. So, Robert Smith.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a mental performance expert. I mean, I've been doing coaching for 27 years. It was my first job, and it's still my job, and my job until I'm getting ready to say goodbye. Literally and figuratively. So I help people out. I'm coach through and through. I work a lot with athletes on their mental performance, how to remove doubt, how to remove fear, how to install confidence, how to install courage and bravery, how to be happy, how to achieve happily. And I also work with a lot of veterans for PTS. We call it PTS now. I'm not sure if you know that, because there's no disorder in getting shot.
Correct.
No. Or having trauma.
It was funny when I was putting it on the thing, I'm going, okay, well, it's post-traumatic stress, but PTS, we got to put the D on there because that's what they put the D on there.
Yeah, people recognize that, but it's slowly getting out that, hey, it's not a disorder if you have trauma, somebody did something to you, it's not your fault. You know? So it's just post-traumatic stress, which involves everyday life and anything and everything. It could be a kid striking out in baseball. It could be he could have a significant emotional event and have PTS from it and have him scarred for.
Brings me to a very interesting question. The first episode of Sopranos. Remember the ducks that flew away, and all of a sudden he had a stroke, right? He passes out. That stress was all it took in order for his body to just completely collapse. And now I get that was an act, right? Obviously, that was a TV show. Right. But the point is that stuff happens in everyday life.
Panic attacks happen for triggers. It's a word thought that connects to an emotion that connects to a physiological response. I mean, that's just how we're wired. So what I do is I remove or reframe the word thought and action before it even comes into the emotion. So we kind of reroute. So they'll be thinking, oh, my life is terrible, and why is this happening, and then boom, they go into the emotion, then the physiological response, and boom, and they're in it. They're in the panic attack. They're in the negativity of it. They're in the heart racing, fight or flight system. And if I'm able to, from a neurological standpoint, if I'm able to say, you know what, this doesn't present the way you used to ordinarily present it. It doesn't. That's where your former self used to go. But if you can reframe it and have a different thought perspective, then it never catches emotion, and then therefore it never goes to the physiological state.
Hit the nail right on the head.
So it's a preemptive strike.
I was going to say, well, I used to, I've owned business since I was a kid. This is all I do is I know business in entertainment, okay? I used to be an absolute hothead. People still say I'm a hothead, but I'm different now. I'm more calm, more collected, but people said I'm a hothead. And I get extremely stressed out. I used to throw things. And as I've gotten older, maybe I've matured, but I'm just kind of like, screw it, whatever. I mean, it's not going to make a difference whether or not I get pissed off or I don't get pissed off. I still have to find a solution to solve the problem. So I get pissed off and throw things, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is that kind of what you're trying to correct?
To a degree. Again, there's positive thinking and there's positive believing. And I think that's the big separation in what people do when they read self-help books and do a situation where they're trying to, affirmations and think about positive. Well, that's good. I mean, it's not bad, but it doesn't change your belief. Now, belief, just from a neurological aspect, it's a completely different structure. A neuron is a thought, a family of neurons is an idea, and a big family of neurons is a belief. And it could be a limiting belief or a false belief, or it could be a real belief. Okay. So when you change someone's belief from a belief standpoint, it changes their values, their core structure, and how they go about their business. It's a completely different shift off of just positive thinking. Okay. So they're thinking from themselves, from their perspective on what they need to change for themselves. And I'm really kind of removed from the picture. I've just basically coached them to be able to help themselves. Very Jerry Maguire motion, Cuba Gooding Jr. the scene where help me help you kind of thing. And they don't need me anymore. Then they graduate out, and 3 to 5 sessions later, and they're just off and running. And I see the Facebook posts, and that's kind of a cool thing. I'm traveling here, I'm doing this, I'm working here, and considering from a I was going to, end my life to now I'm going to live my life. Correct. And then I was a victim and now I'm a survivor, and sometimes that takes years and years and years of therapy. And 3 to 5 sessions, it's miraculous. And I don't credit myself. I credit science, the Tad James company and what they found out when new technology with timeline therapy and things like that.
Okay. What are how common is PTSD, and what are some of the symptoms that people deal with, and then how do you solve those problems?
Well, obviously in veterans, it's very common.
Correct.
And human trafficking, I've worked with some women that have dealt with that. Of course, abuse in the family. I think, I have a very passionate experience with that personally, and was able to deal with it.
I still
using
deal
these
with it every day. My childhood, my father's one of the biggest fans of the show, but he knows that I am not one to not speak up. And the things that were done to me as a kid were absolutely 100% unacceptable. And I don't think I'll ever forgive him for the things that he's done. However, I still deal with it. I still have the nightmares probably once a month, maybe once every couple of weeks. I still have the nightmares when I was a kid. I still have the aggression, the anger, the hurt. It's hard to walk in the house, into his home. We don't have much of a relationship. It's hard to have a relationship with somebody that has done the things that they've done. Even though he's a big fan of the show and I love my father, it's still something that I have every single day. And it's actually one of the fears I have as to why I don't think I'll ever have kids. Be honest with you.
And that's a latent situation, down the road and in your future pacing because of your childhood. There's going to be some things that you choose to do and not do, and if you were able to let go of that, it'd probably be a different shift for you. And so, part of the training I had to go through for myself was to deal with those kinds of situations also. I mean, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but we didn't have a Hot Wheels racetrack in my house after 11. You couldn't find one because they were all thrown out. And I still, my dad passed away a few years ago, but I didn't.
The problem is we had every toy you can think of, but we didn't have the food we needed. We didn't have the shoes and the clothes that we needed. Even though he says that we didn't. And we got the crap beat out of us.
Right.
I mean, to the point where I was afraid to come home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He'd go off on his military duties. It was wonderful not having him around for a month or whatever he was gone. And then I would be fearing for my life when he'd come home.
Exactly. And it's also affected me in the past for conflict. I just did everything I could do to avoid conflict. It's close to escaping and other negative habits come with it. Yeah.
I don't think people realize the effects of how they raise their kids with an iron fist affects the relationship that they have with those kids and how those kids grow up and survive. And maybe a reason why I'm such a jerk is because of, I put my walls up and I don't let people in. Yep. Maybe it's part of my problem because I don't want to be hurt because I've been hurt my entire life. Maybe. Yep. I don't know. Would what you, and I'm speaking for the whole community that has dealt with this, would what you provide help somebody like myself?
Oh, absolutely. Because the way the neuroscience works is that you adopted those beliefs and those patterns back when it first was installed into you. So if you had something that happened, 10 years ago, let's say, then that wouldn't have any bearing on what happened when you were younger. And that's when the neurology starts. So again, let's take a veteran, for example. Okay. So I work with a veteran who was a Vietnam veteran. So he has been literally for 40 years gone without any help.
Correct.
I mean, for lots of reasons. I mean, Vietnam, we don't want to go there. That's a different segment. But they were forgotten and left alone. So he's had this night sweats, night terrors still, and many, many types of therapies, and none of it's helped. None of it's worked. The problem is they go back to when the significant emotional event happened in Vietnam. Well, that's not when it happened. That's not when it is in the bioscience. That's on that, those insights that he was able to unlock will still be able to, somehow mature over that, but that's not when it started. So we go back all the way in timeline therapy. We go back to the seed of the beliefs, the seed of beliefs. In this case, for him, it was loss because he had a tremendous loss. He was a commander. He had tremendous loss and he felt responsible. So we went back to when it very first started. Then we start having them play back insights. Okay, so you've had this situation where there's an extreme loss and there's extreme responsibility and accountability to you at a very young age. What can you tell your younger self? What can you give them to be able to get over that experience and that feeling? So then I take copious notes. I'm just a coach at that. And I have some very specific questions that I ask during that to draw out more information. So when they're doing that, they're literally developing and creating and constructing a brand new belief over the neurology of the former belief. And then once they do that, then it will move on to eventually bump up against that maybe experience that they had in Vietnam, and
Now
with
we
all
can-
those beliefs.
And now we can start to correct it.
And then they can correct it. And
Wow.
it's brain surgery at its best. It's non-surgical, non-invasive, and it's permanent. It's extreme. The best analogy I can think of is, as society when they believed the world was flat, and then
Correct.
lots of proven that the world is round. When you go from flat to round, you can't go back.
Correct.
Pardon me. You can't go back. So that's how it works. I mean, once you've shifted the belief, you can't
Got
go
it.
back. And
Makes
that goes
sense.
for addiction,
Perfect.
for anything.
Got it. And it goes right back to the neurons. Wonderful. Okay. So, folks, are you dealing with inner battles? Give Robert Smith a call. Inner battles. And he gets into all kinds of things. Sexual abuse, drug and alcohol abuse, right?
Absolutely. ADD, ADHD, Asperger's.
Wonderful.
All doubts and fears regarding athletic performance.
And we're going to get into that here in just a moment. 916-606-0984, 916-606-0984, www.becomingwhole, WHOLE therapy.com. Again, becomingwholetherapy.com. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back and wrap up. We'll be right back.
Showcasing business coast to coast. It's the Jon Robert Quinn Show.
Welcome back to the most amazing, most incredible show, the Jon Robert Quinn Show. Segment 4 is brought to you by Cherry Frame. 916-899-1743. Do you have peace of mind when it comes to your retirement? If not, you need to have that serious heart-to-heart with Cherry. CHERRYFRAME.net. 916-899-1743. So, Mr. Robert Smith, we got deep. This has been a good episode.
It's easy to get deep with this stuff.
Steve, I think this is the best show that we've ever done. It's literally been like a public service announcement. It really has.
It's the deepest.
It really is incredible, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
It's wonderful. All right, so talk to me about how you help an athlete's mental state.
All right. Well, 3 years ago, I was hired by Antelope Football to work on their varsity football team. We have a wonderful record over there in Antelope, and the coaches are very supportive. It's a very diversified group of people. We've got people from Morgan Creek, those kids over there, and then kids over here in North Highlands. So to be able to get them to kind of work together as a unit with such socioeconomic background differences, it's a challenge. It's a challenge every day, and I really appreciate the fact that the coaches understand that they need mental performance to be able to excel at their very best. I also got picked up by Jesuit varsity basketball this year. Coach John Roch said, we think we need something extra that other teams don't have. The colleges are using them. Professional athletes are using them. Why can't we have a mental performance coach?
Right.
And it's just been a joy. It's really great to be able to assign a task that, they're not getting graded on. They don't get an attaboy for, as far as, they don't get any accolades or any kind of prize, but they get it for themselves. And to be able to assign a task and have them do the work and do it thoroughly and really to great quality for themselves, it speaks volumes for.
And this is what is going to strengthen our community.
Yeah.
I think that we can make fun of the millennials as much as we want to make fun of the millennials, but the sad part is that I personally feel, and I think a lot of other people feel, that these kids are getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
They're getting a trophy when they lose. Yeah. They're, Hector was saying, 7 valedictorians at his son's school.
14. Yeah.
14 valedictorians. And I'm sitting here going, where's the reward for the people who deserve the reward, and where's the work for the people who need to do the work? And if everybody thinks that they're going to get awarded, then you're going to have a whole society full of self-entitlement.
Yeah, for sure. What the beauty about this is that I'm not talking to just those kids on those teams. I'm talking to everybody that they know. So I've had students approach me and go, you know what? I got this. This is really great stuff. This is amazing. But, I know a friend, or I have a girlfriend who's got it really tough at the house, or I got a friend that's just, battling these parents or battling abuse or whatever. And they could really use these tools, and they pass it on. So that's, they're friend based. Everybody knows, couple hundred people easy. So that's the real joy when they come back and tell me that.
Beautiful. What other types of clients do you help?
Well, we work with just, let's say, for instance, weight loss,
Okay.
other negative habits, bedwetting,
Okay.
nail biting, obviously, smoking.
I'm a nail biter.
Yeah.
Yep.
In 1 hour, I could do that done. 1 hour.
Do you know why I bite my nails? It takes too much time to do something else. I can do this in traffic. Somebody told me that the reason why I eat McDonald's and pizza is because I'm punishing myself. No, it's because it's on the way home. It's that simple, okay? It's on the way home. I'm not going to go home and cook. I'm going to go home and work. I can eat on the way home.
That's true.
Right? It's a convenience thing. That's the only reason I bite my nails, because it's a convenience thing.
And it's, boy, you're going
it's
against
gross,
the grain.
right?
Yeah, you're going against the grain here.
So, okay.
Am I flushing? I'm like, oh, man.
What else? Self-denial? You can help me
Yeah,
with that
right.
one, too?
Yeah. So yeah, any kind of purging. I do a lot some cutters. There's a lot of cutting going on. Mostly from that's a pressure. Whether the parents.
What's
put
the
it on.
story with that?
So that's just it's another escape. I don't want to feel this pain, so I'd rather go choose it for that pain. And
That's
and you
horrible.
cannot flag it like Hector was saying earlier. There's no perfect little package and recipe for how they get there. I've had kids that have cultural demands of their parents being 2 doctors, and we're from this different area, and you got to be this, and an A- is an F+, and that kind of mentality, and they'll cut. And I've also had parents that are like, listen, we just love you, we don't care what you do, but they also have a very affluent stature, and so it's just from the kids within. They go, I got to keep up with mom and dad, and I've got to be so great. And the kids, my parents don't even say that.
We've got to do this again.
It's just so unusual. And
We've got to do this again. I want you and Hector back together.
yeah, I think we complement each other.
Yeah, this has been. This is in 160 or 170 episodes, whatever we've done. This has been the strongest show that we've ever had, and I think I'm going to spend more money pushing this out because it just needs to go out. Thank you so much, Robert Smith. If you've got an issue that you need help with, give Robert a call, 916-606-0984, 916-606-0984, becomingwholetherapy.com, becomingwholetherapy.com. Listen up, folks. Real estate investors, flippers, property managers, you want to become better? CashCowSystems.org, CashCowSystems.org. Again, thank you so much. And again, thank you, Hector, even though you ran out to go catch that guy who's going to or suspected of committing violence. Hector Alvarez, WVPexperts.com, 916-293-8852. Again, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
Yeah, people need help.